Hello, everyone, and welcome along to another episode of the Red Zone podcast. This is Fletch speaking. We've done it. We've managed to get through that awkward period of pre-season between end of World Cup and now, and tomorrow, finally, we begin the new season. This anticipated season. It seems to get more and more anticipated and more exciting as the seasons go on. But finally, it all kicks off again tomorrow. Obviously, the Premier League kicks off tomorrow with Manchester United versus Leicester City, which should be a good game in itself. But for Liverpool fans, they have to wait until Sunday when they take on West Ham in their opening game. And this episode is going to basically be just a kind of preview of the entire season as a whole. We're gonna review the summer that was. We're gonna preview this summer. This season. Sorry. We're gonna make predictions. We're gonna see what Liverpool need to do. We're also gonna analyze some of the rivals and see where Liverpool weigh in on the league stage, as well as on domestic cups and in the Champions League as well. We'll also take a look at a few individual players that either need to be improving or will either be under the microscope a bit more because of how they did last season or because of the signings that the Reds have made. So first things first, we have a look at, we'll review the summer. Technically 4 signings. I know Keita was done last season, but obviously he still counts as a new signing because we haven't obviously seen him in a red shirt until pre-season. So 4 signings in the form of Naby Keita, Fabinho, Xherdan Shaqiri and Alisson. We've reviewed this so many times, but we'll just go over it quickly again. Alisson, goalkeeper, 67 million, broke the transfer record for a goalkeeper in the Premier League before it was broken by Chelsea on deadline day. Kind of glad that happened in a way. It kind of takes a little bit of the pressure off Alisson if there was any on his shoulders to begin with. But of course, this was an area we needed strengthening following the mistakes towards the end of the last campaign through Loris Karius. Karius will still be the number 2 goalkeeper, of course. I'm still expecting Mignolet to leave Liverpool between now and the end of August, which is obviously when the foreign clubs have their transfer deadline day. So I'm pretty sure that will happen, leaving Karius as the backup goalkeeper. And we'll probably play in the League Cup as long with maybe FA Cup. Although, as I will get on to later, Liverpool will need a better and a stronger run in the FA Cup than they have in previous years. The Shaqiri signing is backup to both wingers. He can play anywhere along the front line. He can play as a number 10 as well. He's mainly seen as a right winger, but like I say, he can play left wing, striker, number 10 role kind of thing. He's creative, he's quick, he's good from set pieces as well, which I think will be a pretty decent asset to have in the squad. I think he's mainly going to be backup. He's mainly going to add to the depth coming off the bench, which is a good thing, and I'm sure he won't mind that. But so far in pre-season, he seems to be showing good signs of fitting in well with the squad and with the new style of play that he's got to adapt to. So I'm interested, and for 13.5 million, as I've said before, he seems an absolute bargain. Next we move on to Fabinho. This guy is what we've needed. This guy, a no-nonsense centre defensive midfielder. He'll just be the anchor man. He'll be the platform in which he wins the ball back, and we just build upon. Expect a lot of yellow cards from him this season. He's probably going to be our most booked player, but I won't mind as long as we've got someone in that midfield who's solid as a rock and just doesn't mind getting his foot in when it matters. Pretty sure he will be a starter alongside Keita and Henderson, and of course mention him there. Keita, the final signing, or the reverse signing of the summer, shall we say, technically. good signing, great signing. He seems to have already seemed to fit in well pre-season. He seems to have got a good understanding and a relationship building with Daniel Sturridge already, which is a good thing. And I'll get on to him in a minute. But I'm really looking forward to this guy. This guy, I believe, is going to be possibly the player of the season for Liverpool. I think he will be the most instrumental player to Liverpool having a great campaign. If he stays fit, if he doesn't get too many cards, doesn't pick up too many cards, red, yellow, however many it takes to build up a suspension kind of thing, this guy will be amazing. This guy, I'm predicting he will have the impact that N'Golo Kante had when he first arrived to the Premier League. When he first arrived to the Premier League with Leicester for £8 million, he took the Premier League by storm. It was considered a genuine world-class piece of business by Leicester. For such a small fee, they got a real bargain from a player. And it's incredible now to think that all these players that are going for 50 odd million or something like that, and Chelsea managed to get him for about between 30 and 35 million, something like that. So that was incredible piece of business. I'm expecting Keita to replicate that. This guy is going to be immense. The unfortunate thing is that it's not really added depth. Of course, this is an upgrade to the squad that we had last year, especially in midfield. But with Chan leaving and with Oxlade-Chamberlain apparently out for the majority of this season already with his injury that he picked up towards the end of the last campaign, this is not adding to depth. This is adding to quality. It could come back to bite us if injuries happen, suspensions, that kind of thing. But for now, I'm not going to say too much negative comments about the summer transfer window because it was great. It was nice to see us get our business done early and nice to see us identify weak spots and go out and say, right, we need to sort this out, And like I have said before, I'm surprised we did get a goalkeeper in the end. I did think we were going to give Karius another chance, but I'm glad we got Alisson before a rival took him off our hands. And even though he's not a new signing, I will also say this. Daniel Sturridge in pre-season looks like the Daniel Sturridge of the 2012-13 season. The season where him and Suarez took the Premier League by storm. The season where him and Suarez were the most feared attacking duo in the Premier League. He looks to be back to that level. Of course, he will need to be managed better because of his injury problems, and I'm still fearing the news that he will be injured one day. But for now, I'm positive and I'm happy that he's back. He looks incredible. He looks in the best shape I've seen him since that time. And as backups go, there aren't many better than Sturridge. And I'm saying right now that apart from the Jesus and Aguero thing at City, we probably have the second best backup striker in the Premier League in Sturridge when he's fit, when he's healthy. And I hate saying this because obviously he's not, but he will be like a new signing. He will be like a new signing in the respect that we didn't really have him much last year. Then we sent him out on loan. We didn't really have him the year before because of his injury problems. But if we've got him now, and we've got him fit and healthy, he will be like a new signing, definitely. And that is only a good thing as well. And it will take pressure off Solanke. It will take pressure off Firmino as well, because if Firmino wasn't firing last season, and if Salah wasn't, and Mane wasn't as well, we didn't really have a plan. Well, I guess it would be plan D, wouldn't it? But we didn't really have a backup to our striker policy. That's all I'm saying. So I'm happy for Sturridge. I'm happy for the new signings. We're maybe one or two players off the squad being immaculate, or pretty much that anyway. but I'm happy with where this squad is going. I mentioned various cup runs there, and I did say we needed a better run in the FA Cup this year, and that is gonna, well, to say that we've had a couple of poor runs in the FA Cup under Klopp is an understatement. We got knocked out in, I believe, the fourth round in every competition, in every time we've entered the competition under Klopp. So we definitely need a trophy this year, and the FA Cup would be a good start. It's not the trophy that it once was, no doubt about it. There's no point saying it is when it clearly isn't. Not the trophy it once was, but it would be nice to win that and show that we're heading in the right direction. The League Cup isn't a priority at all. To be honest, I don't see the difference between the FA Cup and League Cup no more, other than the fact that the FA Cup is considered a bigger trophy, and I mean, at the end of the day, you still get the same thing for winning the FA Cup that you do for getting the League Cup. So how is it any different? Even though they consider it not a priority, it would still be nice to win, but for some reason, even though they mean the same thing, and when you win it, you get the same thing, for whatever reason, it's just not considered a priority. Sorry. Champions League, it would be nice to go that extra step next season and win it. Not going to lie. Well, of course it would. It would be nice to go that extra step, but next season it will be much more difficult, I would imagine. I would imagine that we're going to get a much more difficult run. I would imagine that teams have obviously been rebuilding for the Champions League, particularly the foreign teams, so that's going to be even more difficult next year. Juventus have obviously recruited well in getting Cristiano Ronaldo. You got to think Madrid will be another top contender to win it for a fourth time on the trot. Obviously Barcelona will want to have a better showing than what they did last year. So I would imagine it will be much more difficult, but I still reckon we will be a feared team. No one would want to play us, and I reckon a semi-final is possibly what we should be aiming for. But a good display in that nonetheless should be what we have this season. I'll save the Premier League for the end of the episode. I'll say where I expect us to finish. Because fixtures. The key ones I picked out are mainly for our rivals. So we've gone through signings, we've gone through our cup runs and stuff. Now go through fixtures. Of course, we kick off Sunday against West Ham at home, so it's a nice, good home tie for us. We can get the crowd behind us early on. We can get a good 3 points under our belts, hopefully, and move on with the season, because that's the all-important thing. Doesn't matter how well you play in that first game, as long as you get 3 points to kick the season off, it will be great. The first big game of the season I've wrote down is against Tottenham on the 15th of September. This is being penciled in as the first game Tottenham will play at their new stadium, and we will be their opponents on that day, if all things go to plan, obviously. It's a big game. Tottenham have not recruited anyone in the transfer window. They've just simply not. It's the first time ever a Premier League team has not recruited a single player in the entirety of a transfer window. It's quite extraordinary. I will say they don't really need to buy many players. They didn't really need to buy or to strengthen. They just need to strengthen in one key area, I thought, and that was basically a backup to Harry Kane. Because if Kane isn't firing, they don't really have a plan. And normally, Kane doesn't tend to score many goals in the opening couple of months of a new season. So, unless that changes this season, Tottenham may struggle a little bit. But I still would expect them to hit top four nonetheless. They've still got a good squad. Pochettino's done great with the squad that he's got so far. Lucas Moura didn't really feature towards the back end of last season, so he'll be like a new signing for them. Lamella will be back and featuring more, I would imagine. They've got some good players in there, so I still would expect them to get top four. But not recruiting anyone in the summer could hurt them. And the next one I've got is in a couple of weeks after the Tottenham game. We've got a major back-to-back. We've got Chelsea at the end of September, and then a week later we have Manchester City, the defending champions, at home. Now, normally at home we're amazing against City. You only have to go back to last season where we had that stunning 4-3 victory and the incredible 3-0 win at Anfield in the Champions League first leg. We have proven we can beat City away from home. Not taking too much away from that one because City were kind of chasing the game at that point, with obviously the aggregate advantage falling in our favour and stuff like that. So that would be great. We can take some hope away from that. City are obviously the team in our sights. They have to be. Like, obviously we have to be aware of what's around us, but with City being head and shoulders, maybe even more than obviously more than head and shoulders above the rest last season, we have to be looking at them as our main priority. We can't be looking around us. We've got to be aware, but we haven't got to be looking to aim for anything around us. We've got to be looking to close that gap, so to speak. The Chelsea game should be interesting as well because obviously they've got a new manager, they've got a new team. They're in sort of like a new rebuilding stage. We've got a new system that they're going to be playing. It's going to be different under Sarri than it was with Conte. So that will be interesting to see. And obviously, and like I say, with City, they're strong favourites to retain the title for a reason. But them two games are going to be massive. They come at us like so fast before the October international break that we're just going to have to be ready for them. And obviously that's when Champions League obviously restarts by that time. So we're going to have to even be more prepared and more focused on that. 3rd of November we face Arsenal away. Again, it's a new manager. It's rebuilding under Unai Emery, so that should be interesting. Arsenal, I would expect them to be looking at possibly getting back in the top four, and I think, although people may say Wenger stayed on for too long, and they may be right, at least this isn't next season that he's leaving, because this season, the teams that are around Arsenal seem to have a lot of problems, and they seem to be having a lot of difficulty. You've got Tottenham, who haven't recruited anyone. You've got their new stadium, which is causing financial problems. You've got their squad, which is great, but could be better. You've got Chelsea with a new manager, a new system, rebuilding. You've got United with multiple problems and a manager who's just constantly moaning, but I'll get onto that in a bit. They've got a very good chance of getting back in the top four this season. A very good chance. They've got a very good squad. They've got a great strike force if they can get them playing. They've got a great midfield. Their defence could be better. Their defence could be so much better. But if they can outscore their opponents, they can get back into the top four, definitely. And I will say that they are actually my pick to get 4th place because of the reasons I just stated. But it's fortunate that this didn't happen a season or two later, because then they could have even been further behind. It's just fortunate that this has happened now rather than later. A month later, we've got Everton, the first Merseyside derby of the season in the Premier League, that is. Of course, this could change due to cup ties and whatever. But 1st of December, Everton at home. Again, it's just one that we have to win simply for the reason it's bragging rights and stuff. Everton won't be causing us, or shouldn't be causing us, too many problems this year. Of course, I don't want to say definitely won't and then have to eat my words somehow, but I highly doubt that will happen. And then 2 weeks later, it's the bigger one. It's Man United. Mourinho might go through his third season syndrome in which he completely loses it and is sacked by Christmas. He already seems to be going through that actually. All throughout the summer, he's just been moaning at every opportunity about Liverpool that I can think of. Moaning about Liverpool signing players, moaning about him not being able to sign players, moaning about money, moaning about this, about the World Cup, about players not returning, about everything. He just seems to be moaning about everything, like the way the grass is cut, how long it's being cut, just everything. He just seems to be moaning. And it's getting on my nerves, and I bet it's getting on a lot of Man United fans' nerves as well. Just hearing him week after week after week, interview after interview, just moan and complain about everything and everyone, and it's never his fault. In the 30 days, yeah, he would moan a lot, but he would get the job done. He would get players signed, he would get results, he would get everything that you wanted from him, he would somehow achieve. Doesn't seem to be happening right now at United. Doesn't seem to be happening. This Mourinho era is taking a sour turn, and it's only going to get worse. I mean, let's say Barcelona come in for Pogba between now and the end of their deadline, of their transfer window. If Pogba wants to go and he's going to cause a massive fuss about it, United will have to let him go. Otherwise, they're going to face an unhappy player who isn't going to play, like what Chelsea were going to face with Courtois. He'll have to go, and if that does happen, United will be in complete and utter meltdown. And Mourinho will still not be happy. He'll blame the board. The board will point the finger at him. There's a lot of problems at that club, and that's why I think United won't get top 4 this season. I don't think they will. I think Mourinho was going through his third season syndrome already. The wheels are already in motion of that. If he doesn't get results straight away, it will only continue to snowball, and it will get bigger and bigger. He's already got that with the amount of moaning he's doing. He's already got that with the amount of players that he's missed out on. For whatever reason, he was trying to buy a centre-back. The problem wasn't them conceding goals last season. They had one of the better defensive records of any of the top several teams. Their problem was not being able to score as many goals. They were lacking creativity in midfield. They were lacking a legit goal scorer up front. Lukaku, even though he got like 16 goals last season, still not enough for a guy that for Everton was banging in like 30 goals a season, or just under that amount. So it was just more creativity and more clinical nature up front that was lacking. For whatever reason, he decided that he was going to strengthen centre-back. Whether that meant he was planning on shifting a few on, I'm not sure, but it just seemed a little strange that he would prioritise that position. And as I say, but I don't see United troubling us that much this season, only in the games that we have to play against them. And then we go back, then we obviously play the reverse fixtures. We've got Arsenal at the end of December. A few days later, then we face the return of Man City again on New Year's Day. And then obviously we go on from there. But they're the bigger games that I've pointed out. And I can't wait. We relish big games. It's the smaller, the quote-unquote smaller games that we tend to struggle in. And that's why I relish these big games, because they're just the ones that everyone seems to be up for. If the new signings can get that emotion as well and get that kind of feeling, it would be incredible for everyone involved to play along to. And it would just be one hell of a season to look forward to, definitely. So we've gone through everything like that. And now I will say, where do we finish? I've gone over this, and as much as I want to say that we will be able to catch up with Man City and overtake them, I don't see us quite there yet. I still think we're one or two players off, and that's frustrating to say because for many seasons that we seem to have competed for top 4 or top 3 or even top 2 on occasions, we've always seemed to be a couple of players off. And as much as I don't want to say it again this season, I fear we are. And I fear we will come back to that point if 1 or 2 injuries don't go our way, if 1 or 2 suspensions don't go our way, kind of thing. Second place is realistic. Second place, we are currently, on paper, we are the second best team in the Premier League. Without a doubt. On paper. Obviously, games are not won on paper. They're won on the field. They're won on the pitch. Our signings look great. We've strengthened in the areas we needed to in quality. We strengthened a little bit in depth, in goalkeeping terms, in wing terms. We strengthened in quality in midfield. Depth will come later. If Ox comes back, for example, when Ox comes back, which will be at the end of the season, obviously, but we strengthened. We don't have enough, and we got obviously Storage back as well, but we don't have enough to catch City yet. That's just my honest opinion. I could be wrong. I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong in the fact that we have actually had enough, and maybe we may have a little bit of luck in which City falter a little bit and come back down to sort of our level as we've raised up, and we can properly challenge them. We'll push them. We will push them this season. We may even win at their ground, but we have to make them points count by beating the smaller teams, the quote unquote smaller teams, should I say, out of respect. We need to definitely do that. We need to we can't do what we did last season, which was basically win at the big teams and then go on to the smaller teams and just falter, because we did that. I think it was the City game. We beat City and then a week later we lost to bottom of the league. A few days later we were out the FA Cup to the second bottom team. Can't do that again. Can't keep doing that every season. And that's why, like I say, we're just not quite at Man City's level yet. Because Man City last season, they raised the bar high. And they didn't raise the bar just a little bit out of everyone's reach. They just completely raised the bar. Don't even think they even knew they were going to raise it that far, but they raised it. And now we have to sort of pull them back down to earth, kind of thing. We'll close the gap this year. We'll close the gap on them. But we won't quite overtake them. Another season though, maybe, who knows. But Klopp has 2 years. Klopp needs to win a major trophy. And I think a lot of Liverpool fans will give him 2 seasons. 2 more seasons, and then we may start looking elsewhere. He's given us some great memories. He's given us some great matches. He's got us playing some amazing football. But I think there just comes a point where with all the money spent, even though the net spend is brilliant and we've bragged about that for a long, long time, needs to be... And the competition's getting there. The competition for trophies and the league is getting there, but it would be so much better if we could actually taste victory, if we could taste what it feels like to win a major trophy again. It would be so much better, and I'm like I say, I think we're just giving him a couple more years now. A couple more years, and if nothing's happened, we may start looking elsewhere. But we'll see how this season goes for now. Finally, top goal scorer, assist maker, most bookings, player of the season, young player of the season. Top goal scorer, I'm going with Salah or Firmino. I don't think Salah will quite hit his goal tally of last season. He may fall just a little short, but it will be great to see him try. I'd love to see him try. And I think Firmino's main problem is he's more of a team player, obviously. I'd like to see him be a little bit selfish sometimes. I'm not saying that the unselfishness is a bad thing. I think last season, if a couple of other players were a little bit unselfish in certain key moments in games, we could have actually got a few more points. But I think if he's a bit more clinical this season, if he's a bit more selfish in the way that he will either take a shot on instead of pass it, I think he will get top goal scorer this season. He will definitely show people who are still doubters about his quality that he is world class. Having said that, I still think he will come out as Liverpool's top assist maker. I still think with his style of play and with the way that he's not a striker, he's like a false number 9, so he can play as like a creative midfielder. Which is why I say that the fact that we haven't signed a number 10 is sort of frustrating, but it isn't in the way that we can have people to play that kind of role. We can always put Firmino there. We've always got Adam Lallana when he's fit. He may not be the best, he may not be amazing, but he can do a job there. We can always put Shaqiri there. Sturridge in a deeper role could be a possibility as well. We have players that can fit that role. They aren't truly recognised as being particularly the best at that role, but they can play that role. And that's why I expect Firmino to be our top assist maker, because he's the most unselfish and probably one of the best team players in world football. He's just so brilliant in what he does, and that's why he's probably the best all-round striker the Premier League has to offer. Not in terms of goals scored, not in terms of how clinical he is, but in terms of every aspect of his game is up to a good, high quality standard. Which is why I say signing a number 10 doesn't seem great on paper, but it does look good when you consider the players that can fill that role if needed. You can put Sturridge up front, you can pull him back into that number 10 role, it's fine. You can put Shaqiri there. You've got so many options for short-term solutions, and if we're going to mix it up this season, it will be pretty good to see how that continues. Most bookings, I've already said, Fabinho, he's obviously there to do a job. He's there to basically be what Busquets is to Barcelona, to be what Fernandinho is to Manchester City. He's the anchor man. He basically wins the ball, puts his foot in, will take one for the team kind of thing, but he gives us a platform to build upon. He will stay in the centre of the park, and he will allow Henderson space so he can just ping them long balls that he likes to play up to Mane, up to Salah, up to Firmino. He will be there so that Keita can roam free and find pockets of space in which to create problems for the opposition. He will allow Keita to have space in which he can then play the ball off to Firmino, Salah, Mane, Shaqiri. He will basically be pulling the strings, so to speak, without doing a lot. Or by doing just something simple, by just allowing people to roam free. He'll just be there to protect the back four and just to allow our midfield to roam free. He will be a great and probably go under the microscope. But he will be a great signing, I believe, and I think he'll be one of the signings to look forward to who probably won't get as much credit as what he deserves. Player of the season, I've already touched upon this again. Naby Keita. Like I said, I think he's going to have the same impact N'Golo Kante had when he first arrived in England with Leicester. He's going to be an incredible signing. He's going to be an incredible player to watch. And Liverpool fans, neutrals, and even rival fans as well, I think, are probably going to hate to admit that he may be one to look for this season. He will be one exciting player to look forward to. He already seems to have settled into the new system and new team and everything pre-season. Now it's just time to work it into a more competitive game. But I think he will be the one who makes everything tick for Liverpool this season. I think he'll steal the spotlight. He'll run the show in midfield, and he will be the player of the season as far as a Liverpool point of view is concerned. And finally, young player of the season, Trent Alexander-Arnold has to be. I can see one or two young players possibly breaking through to the main team this year, but I don't think none will have as long a stay or more of an impact than Trent Alexander-Arnold. The weight will be off him a little bit this season because of the return to full fitness of Nathaniel Klein. Touch wood on that. So that means he probably won't be playing as many games as what he did last season, which is including the cup games mainly I'm talking about. But he will probably be the first choice right back, and rightfully so, I think. I think what Klein offers a little bit more pace and a bit more of an attacking way to go, but Trent's crossing and his delivery and his set pieces and his energy and his youth, I think, might just put him onto Klein a little bit. Klein is still good. Klein is still great. He still has a role to play at Liverpool, but I think he just adds more depth now more than anything. He's not. I don't believe he should be the first choice right back, but he still serves a purpose and he'll still be involved a lot within the first team, and he'll definitely keep Trent on his toes. I'm sure he'll pass on some of his experience onto him. But right now, Trent needs to just keep on progressing like he is doing and keep doing it well, and he will again be young player of the season for us. Well, it should be. Because of just how great he's progressed. I still remember last season when Trent played poorly against Man United, conceded, was at fault for the goals scored by United, and how he just came back from that and bounced back and became the player he is today was just great to see, because some young players might just let that get to them for weeks and months and continue on a downward spiral. But he learned from his mistakes. Okay, he's made a couple since then, but you were going to make mistakes, and it's just the way he bounced back from them and learned and continued to get better and better with every single game. And that's about it. That about sums it up for this Liverpool season preview. We've talked fixtures, we've talked players, signings, cups, the manager. We've talked about rival teams. We've talked about who's going to be taking certain accolades. But what do you think? Do you think any different or any of the same of what I've been talking about? Do you think that Liverpool are on their way to challenging City? Do you think they can overtake City? Do you think that there will be nowhere near City? Do you think that I have messed up completely and that they won't even get top four? Do you think... I want to know what you think on this, guys. This would be very interesting for me to read. Do you think that they'll get a trophy this year? Do you think that they need to? Do you think that Klopp's time is possibly running out as far as trophy and money goes? I'd love to know your thoughts on this, guys. It'd be very interesting. Otherwise, leave a like on the way out. Hit that like button on the way out if you enjoyed this audio piece, this podcast. Subscribe if you're new. Subscribe if you want to see more content like this or any of the other content on my channel. Otherwise, guys, I've been Fletch. This has been the Red Zone Podcast. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you in the next episode.